Ethan Cole was a self-made millionaire who had everything, except the one thing money couldn't buy: the courage to love. At 30 years old, he'd never kissed anyone, never let anyone close, convinced he was too broken for something as fragile as a heart. Then, Lily Parker walked into his office as his new assistant, and with one gentle smile, she cracked the armor he'd spent a lifetime building. Their first kiss was supposed to change everything, but fear made him push her away, calling it a mistake, leaving her heartbroken and ready to walk out of his life forever. What Ethan didn't know was that running from love would cost him more than he ever imagined, and the only way to win her back was to risk the one thing he'd protected his whole life: the truth. This is a story about two broken people learning that real strength isn't control, it's surrender. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me what city you're watching from. I want to know where my story lovers are. Lily Parker stood outside the tall glass building and took a slow breath. The morning sun warmed her face, but her stomach still fluttered with nerves. Today was her first day working for Ethan Cole, one of the youngest millionaires in the city. She'd heard about him. Everyone had. Smart, successful, intimidating. She smoothed her simple gray dress and checked her watch. 7:55. Perfect timing. The lobby was all marble and steel. Her shoes clicked softly as she walked toward the elevator. A security guard nodded at her. She smiled back, grateful for the small kindness. On the 20th floor, she stepped into a quiet office space. Everything looked expensive, but not showy. Clean lines, neutral colors, a few green plants in the corners. "You must be Lily." She turned. A woman in her 40s with kind eyes stood near a desk. "Yes, hi. I'm Patricia. I've been keeping things running until you arrived." The woman's smile was warm. "Mr. Cole is in his office. He's expecting you." Lily followed Patricia down a short hallway. Her heart beat faster with each step. Patricia knocked once, then opened the door. "Mr. Cole, your new assistant is here." The man who looked up from his desk took Lily's breath away. Not because he was handsome, though he was, with strong features and deep brown eyes, but because of how still he seemed, like he measured every movement, every word. "Thank you, Patricia." His voice was low and calm. Patricia left, closing the door softly behind her. Ethan Cole stood. He was tall, dressed in a perfectly fitted navy suit. He didn't smile exactly, but something in his expression softened. "Miss Parker, welcome." "Thank you, Mr. Cole." Lily stepped forward and shook his hand. His grip was firm but gentle. "Please, sit." She took the chair across from his desk. He sat back down, folding his hands on the desk surface. "Patricia has prepared a detailed outline of your responsibilities," he said. "Your primary role will be managing my schedule, handling correspondence, and coordinating meetings. You'll also help with personal matters occasionally, errands, travel arrangements, things like that." Lily nodded. "I understand. I value efficiency and discretion. I'm not difficult to work for, but I do expect professionalism." "Of course." He studied her for a moment. His gaze wasn't cold, but it was careful, like he was reading something in her face. "You come highly recommended," he said. "Your references were impressive. I worked hard at my last position." "Why did you leave?" Lily had expected this question. "The company downsized. It wasn't performance-related." He nodded slowly. "I see. And what made you apply here?" She chose her words carefully. "I wanted a role where I could really make a difference, where attention to detail matters. I like helping things run smoothly." Something flickered in his eyes. Approval, maybe. "That's good. I think we'll work well together." He stood again, signaling the meeting was over. Lily rose too. "Patricia will show you to your desk. If you have questions, ask. I prefer direct communication." "Thank you, Mr. Cole." As she turned to leave, he spoke again. "And Lily?" She looked back. "Welcome aboard." This time he almost smiled. The morning passed in a blur of instructions and information. Patricia was patient, walking Lily through computer systems, filing methods, and Mr. Cole's preferences. He liked his coffee black. He preferred emails to phone calls when possible. He had a standing lunch meeting every Thursday. "He seems very controlled," Lily said carefully during a coffee break. Patricia laughed softly. That's a good word for it. But he's fair. He doesn't play games or lose his temper. Once you understand his rhythm, it's actually easy to work for him. Has he always been this way? As long as I've known him, yes, but I'm only here part-time now. My husband retired, and we're traveling more. That's why he needed someone full-time. Patricia's expression grew thoughtful. He works too much, if I'm honest, lives for this company. I hope you'll help him remember there's more to life. Lily wasn't sure what to say to that. By lunchtime, Patricia had left, and Lily was on her own. She ate a salad at her desk, reviewing the calendar for the next 2 weeks. Mr. Cole had meetings scheduled almost back-to-back. When did the man breathe? Around 3 o'clock, she heard his office door open. Lily. She stood quickly. Yes, Mr. Cole? He walked toward her desk, holding a folder. I need these contracts reviewed and organized by priority. Legal will need them tomorrow morning. Of course. She took the folder. He started to turn away, then paused. How's your first day going? The question surprised her. His tone was still professional, but there was genuine curiosity there. Good. Patricia was very helpful. I think I'm getting the hang of things. Good, he nodded. Then unexpectedly, it's a lot to learn in one day. Don't hesitate to ask if something's unclear. I won't, thank you. He returned to his office. Lily sat back down, oddly touched by the small gesture. Maybe he wasn't as cold as he seemed. The afternoon stretched into evening. The sun began to set, painting the office in golden light. Lily worked through the contracts, making notes, checking details. She was so focused that she didn't notice Mr. Cole had left his office until he spoke. You're still here? She looked up, startled. Oh, I wanted to finish these tonight. He frowned slightly. I didn't mean for you to stay late your first day. It's okay. I want to do a good job. He was quiet for a moment. Have you eaten? I had lunch. That was 6 hours ago. Lily blinked. Was he concerned? I'll grab something on the way home, she said. He seemed about to say something else, then changed his mind. Don't make this a habit. I don't expect you to work around the clock. Noted. He nodded and walked back toward his office. But before he got there, Lily's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then gasped. Coffee from her earlier break had spilled inside her bag. Brown liquid was seeping onto the desk. Oh, no! She jumped up, grabbing tissues. Mr. Cole turned back. What happened? Coffee spill. I'm so sorry. Here. He was suddenly beside her, handing her paper towels from the small kitchen area. Together, they cleaned up the mess. His hands moved efficiently, without judgment. I should have been more careful, Lily said, her cheeks burning. It's just coffee. It happens. But when they finished, and she saw that several of the contracts had gotten wet, she felt tears prick her eyes. I ruined them. Lily, his voice was firm but not harsh. Look at me. She did. These are copies. We have digital files. It's not a crisis. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing, he said it gently. You've had a long day. You're tired. Go home. We'll print new copies tomorrow. She nodded, not trusting her voice. He hesitated, then added, You did well today. Truly. The kindness in his tone nearly undid her. Thank you, Mr. Cole. Ethan, he said quietly. When it's just us, you can call me Ethan. She met his eyes. They were softer than she'd seen them all day. Okay? Ethan. He held her gaze for just a second longer than necessary. Then he stepped back, breaking the moment. Get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night. As she gathered her things and left, Lily felt something shift inside her chest. Something small but unmistakable. This job was going to be more complicated than she'd thought. Ethan stood alone in his office long after Lily left. The city lights glittered outside his window, but he barely saw them. He couldn't stop thinking about the way she'd looked at him when he helped her clean up the spill. Grateful, yes, but also surprised, like kindness was unexpected. It bothered him more than it should. He'd built his company from nothing, worked 18-hour days, sacrificed relationships, sleep, everything. Control had been his religion, discipline his armor. But something about Lily Parker unsettled that carefully maintained order. She was pretty. He could acknowledge that objectively. Soft brown hair, clear blue eyes, a gentle smile. But it wasn't her appearance that had caught him off guard. It was the way she'd looked at those ruined papers like she'd failed some crucial test. The way she'd apologized for something so small. It reminded him of himself years ago, desperate to prove his worth, terrified of making mistakes. He shook his head, turning away from the window. This was ridiculous. She was his assistant, nothing more. But as he packed his briefcase and prepared to leave, he found himself hoping she wouldn't quit after one difficult day. He hoped she'd come back tomorrow. Lily's apartment was small and cozy. One bedroom, a tiny kitchen, mismatched furniture she'd collected over the years, but it was hers and she loved it. She kicked off her shoes and collapsed onto her worn couch. Her phone rang. Mom. Hi, Mama. How was the first day, baby? Lily smiled. Her mother always knew when to call. It was intense, but good, I think. And your boss? Is he awful? No, actually, he's kind of surprising. Surprising how? Lily thought about Ethan's quiet concern when she'd spilled the coffee. The way he'd said her name, Lily, like it mattered. He's not what I expected. He seems lonely, maybe. Her mother was quiet for a moment. Lonely men can be dangerous, Lily, especially powerful ones. Mama, I'm just saying, be careful with your heart. Lily understood. Her mother had been hurt by a man once, a man who'd promised everything and delivered nothing. It had made her cautious, protective. It's just a job, Mama. For now. They talked for a few more minutes before saying goodbye, but as Lily got ready for bed, her mother's words lingered. Be careful with your heart. Good advice. But as she lay in the darkness, Lily wondered if it was already too late to be careful, because when Ethan had looked at her tonight, really looked at her, she'd felt something wake up inside her, something she'd kept locked away for a long time. Hope. And hope, she knew, was the most dangerous thing of all. The next morning arrived bright and clear. Lily woke early, determined to make a better impression. She chose a pale blue blouse and black slacks, professional but approachable. She even took extra time with her hair, twisting it into a neat bun. When she arrived at the office, Ethan was already there. She could see him through his glass door, reading something on his computer. Good morning, she called softly. He looked up. For just a second, something warm crossed his face. Good morning, Lily. Her name sounded different when he said it, important somehow. Coffee? She offered. Please, thank you. She made it the way Patricia had taught her, black one sugar, though he never added it himself. Just liked it nearby, apparently. When she brought it to his office, he accepted it with a nod. Sleep well? He asked. Yes, you? Well enough. Liar, she thought. He looked tired, like maybe he'd stayed up thinking about work or something else. The new contracts are on your desk, he said. No rush on those today. I'll get them done. Lily, he stopped her as she turned to leave. Yesterday. Thank you for staying late and for handling the situation with grace. She blinked. I spilled coffee on important papers. And you cared that it happened. That matters. He paused. A lot of people wouldn't have. Their eyes met. In that moment, Lily saw something in his expression that made her breath catch. Not attraction exactly, though maybe that too, but recognition. Like he saw something in her that he understood, something he needed. You're welcome, she said softly. He nodded, breaking the gaze. Let me know if you need anything today. I will. As she left his office, Lily's heart was racing. This was more than a job. She just didn't know what it was yet. The days began to blend together, but in a good way. Lily learned Ethan's patterns, his preferences, the small details that made his day run smoothly. And with each passing day, she saw more beneath his controlled exterior. He remembered things, small things. That she liked herbal tea in the afternoon, that she'd mentioned her mother once, that she typed faster when she was nervous, and he was considerate in ways that surprised her. When she'd accidentally double-booked 2 important meetings, he'd simply said, "We'll figure it out," and helped her reschedule without making her feel incompetent. When she'd worked through lunch 3 days in a row, he'd ordered food to be delivered. "You're no good to me if you pass out from hunger," he'd said, but his tone was teasing, not harsh. By the end of the second week, Lily realized something that terrified her. She was starting to care about Ethan Cole, not just as a boss, as a person. And that was dangerous. It was late Friday afternoon when Ethan appeared at her desk looking uncertain, an expression she'd never seen on him before. "Do you have plans tonight?" he asked. Lily's heart jumped. No, why? I wanted to go over the quarterly reports before Monday, but it'll take a few hours. He hesitated. I thought maybe we could order dinner, work through it together. I'll pay for your time, of course. She should have said no, should have established boundaries, but she didn't want to. Okay, that works. Relief crossed his face. Good, thank you. At 7 o'clock, Chinese food arrived. They spread the containers across the conference table and worked side by side. It should have been awkward. Intimate dinners with your boss usually were. But it wasn't. They fell into an easy rhythm. Ethan explained the numbers. Lily asked questions. Sometimes they laughed at small jokes. Sometimes they just worked in comfortable silence. Around 9, Lily stretched and yawned. Tired? Ethan asked. A little, but I'm okay. He studied her. You work hard, harder than you need to. I want to do well. You are doing well, more than well. He paused. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why do you push yourself so hard? The question caught her off guard. She thought about deflecting, giving some easy answer, but something in his eyes made her want to be honest. I guess I've always felt like I had to prove I belonged. My family didn't have much growing up. I put myself through college working 2 jobs. I never wanted people to think I didn't deserve to be in the room. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. I understand that, he finally said. Do you? He nodded slowly. I grew up in a rough neighborhood. My father left when I was 10. My mother worked herself to exhaustion trying to keep us afloat. His voice was steady but filled with old pain. I built this company because I never wanted to feel powerless again. Lily's chest tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be. It made me who I am. He met her eyes. But sometimes I wonder if I traded one kind of powerlessness for another. What do you mean? Control is its own prison. The words hung in the air between them. Lily didn't know what to say. This was the most personal conversation they'd ever had. Thank you for telling me that, she said quietly. Thank you for listening. They finished the reports in silence, but it was a different kind of silence now, closer, more real. When Lily finally gathered her things to leave, Ethan walked her to the elevator. Get some rest, he said. You too. The elevator doors opened. Lily? She turned. I'm glad you're here. I don't say that enough. Her heart squeezed. Me too. The doors closed between them. As the elevator descended, Lily pressed her hand to her chest, feeling her heart race. She was in trouble. Deep, deep trouble. Because she wasn't just starting to care about Ethan Cole. She was starting to fall for him. And that changed everything. The weekend passed slowly. Lily tried to distract herself with errands, with calls to her mother, with anything that would keep her mind off Friday night. But it didn't work. She kept replaying Ethan's words. Control is its own prison. The vulnerability in his voice, the way he'd looked at her when she left. By Monday morning, she'd convinced herself she'd imagined the connection. It was just a late night. Too much time together. Nothing more. But when she walked into the office and saw him standing by the window, coffee cup in hand, her heart did that familiar flutter. He turned. Their eyes met. Good morning, he said softly. Good morning. Something had shifted. They both felt it. The day moved forward with careful professionalism. Emails, phone calls, meetings. But underneath it all was an awareness that hadn't been there before. Lily caught him watching her twice. Both times he looked away quickly. She did the same thing. Around 3 o'clock, his cousin Marcus stopped by. Lily had met him once before, a loud, friendly man who seemed like Ethan's complete opposite. Lily, Marcus grinned, how's my cousin treating you? Not working you to death, I hope. He's been very fair, Lily said with a smile. That's code for yes, he's working me to death. Marcus laughed. Ethan, you need to lighten up, man. Ethan appeared in his doorway. Was there something you needed, Marcus? Just checking in, making sure you're still human. Marcus's tone was teasing, but there was real concern underneath. I'm fine. When's the last time you went out? Had fun? Talked to someone who wasn't about business? Ethan's jaw tightened. Marcus, I'm serious. You're 30 years old. You should be living, not just working. I am living. Marcus shook his head. No, man, you're surviving. There's a difference. The tension in the room grew thick. Lily pretended to focus on her computer. I'll talk to you later, Ethan said firmly. Marcus sighed. Yeah, okay. He glanced at Lily. Nice seeing you again. You too. After Marcus left, Ethan stood in his doorway for a long moment. Lily could feel his frustration from across the room. I'm sorry you had to hear that, he said finally. It's okay. He clearly cares about you. He worries too much. Lily looked up. Does he have a reason to? Ethan met her eyes. For a second, she thought he might actually answer honestly. Instead, he said, I have calls to make, and retreated to his office. The door closed with a soft click. Lily sat back, her chest tight with emotions she couldn't name. Marcus was right. Ethan wasn't living. He was hiding. And she was starting to understand why that hurt her so much, because she was hiding too. That evening, Ethan stayed late again. Lily did the same, though she wasn't sure why. Around 7, he emerged from his office looking exhausted. You should go home, he said. So should you. I have work to finish. Ethan, she said his name gently. When's the last time you took a break? A real one? He leaned against her desk. Is this an intervention? Did Marcus put you up to this? No, she hesitated. I worry about you. The words were out before she could stop them. His expression shifted, softened. You worry about me? Yes. Why? Because I care about you. Because you matter to me. Because when you hurt, I feel it. But she couldn't say any of that. Because you're a good person, she said instead. And good people deserve to be happy. Ethan was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was rough. What if I don't know how to be happy? The confession broke her heart. Then maybe you need to learn. He looked at her with something raw in his eyes. Is that easy for you? Being happy? No, she admitted. I spent so long proving I was good enough that I forgot to ask what I actually wanted. And what do you want? The question hung between them, heavy with possibility. Lily's breath caught. She wanted to say wanted to be brave enough to be honest, but fear held her back. I want to feel safe, she said quietly. I want to trust someone completely. Have you ever trusted someone like that? No. Have you? No. They stared at each other. The office was empty except for them. The city lights glittered outside. Lily, Ethan said softly, I need to tell you something. Her heart pounded. Okay. Working with you these past few weeks, it's been different. Good different. He took a breath. You make me want to be less controlled, more open. Ethan, let me finish, please. His hands gripped the edge of her desk. I'm not good at this, at feelings, at relationships. I've spent my whole adult life avoiding them. Why? Because I didn't think I could do it right, because I was afraid of failing at something that mattered. Lily stood slowly. They were only a few feet apart now. You're not going to fail, she whispered. How do you know? Because you care. That's the only thing that really matters. His eyes searched hers. What if I hurt you anyway? What if you don't? The question seemed to undo something in him. I don't want to lose you, he said hoarsely. As my assistant, as whatever this is becoming. You won't lose me. Promise? Promise. They stood there, inches apart, the air thick with everything they weren't saying. Ethan lifted his hand slowly, giving her time to move away. But she didn't. His fingers brushed her cheek, gentle, tentative. He stopped, swallowed. This is new for me, all of it. It's okay. We'll figure it out together. Together, he repeated, like testing the word. Yeah. His thumb traced along her jaw. His eyes dropped to her lips. Can I? His voice was barely a whisper. Can I kiss you? Lily's breath stopped. This was the moment, the line they'd been dancing around for weeks. Yes, she breathed. He leaned in slowly. So slowly she could have changed her mind 100 times, but she didn't want to. His lips met hers softly, carefully, like she was something precious. The kiss was brief, tender, nothing like the passionate scenes in movies. It was better, because it was real and honest, and filled with every unspoken feeling they'd both been carrying. When he pulled back, his eyes were wide, vulnerable. Was that okay? He asked. Lily smiled, her eyes stinging with sudden tears. That was perfect. He rested his forehead against hers. I've never done that before. Never? Never. The confession made her chest ache. Ethan, I know it's strange. A 30-year-old man who's never kissed anyone. But I never wanted to do it wrong. And then too much time passed, and it felt impossible to stop. She cupped his face in her hands. There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing. I was afraid you'd think I was broken. You're not broken. You're just careful with your heart. That's not a flaw. He closed his eyes, leaning into her touch. Thank you. They stood like that for a moment, foreheads pressed together, breathing the same air. Finally, Ethan stepped back. He looked shaken, happy but scared. I should let you go home. Okay. Will you... He hesitated. Will you come back tomorrow? The question was so vulnerable, it made her want to cry. Of course. I promise. He nodded, relief washing over his face. They gathered their things in silence. But it wasn't an awkward silence. It was the silence of two people who'd just changed everything and needed time to process it. At the elevator, Ethan touched her hand briefly. Good night, Lily. Good night. The doors closed. Lily rode down alone, her fingers pressed to her lips. She'd just kissed Ethan Cole, and nothing would ever be the same. Ethan stood in the empty office, his heart racing like he'd just run a marathon. He'd kissed Lily, his first kiss at 30 years old. And it had been. He didn't have words for what it had been. Terrifying, beautiful, perfect. He touched his lips, still feeling the ghost of hers. But now, alone in the silence, the fear crept back in. What had he done? She was his assistant. He was her boss. This could complicate everything. What if she regretted it? What if she felt pressured? What if... He forced himself to breathe. She'd said yes. She'd wanted it too. He hadn't imagined that. But the doubt still gnawed at him. He'd spent his entire adult life avoiding this kind of vulnerability. And now he'd jumped in with both feet, with his employee, with someone who depended on him for her livelihood. The thoughts spiraled, growing darker. By the time he finally left the office, Ethan had convinced himself that kissing Lily was the worst mistake he'd ever made. Not because he didn't care about her, but because he cared too much, and he had no idea how to handle that. Lily called her mother the moment she got home. Mama, are you busy? Never too busy for you, baby. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Something happened. She told her mother everything. The late nights, the conversations, the kiss. When she finished, there was a long silence. Lily, her mother said carefully, this man is your boss. I know. He has power over you, your job, your income. It's not like that, Mama. He's not like that. How do you know? You've only known him a few weeks. I feel it. He's good. He's careful. He's honest. Another pause. Baby, I don't want to see you hurt. I know, but I can't let fear stop me from living. This is different. He's rich, powerful. Men like that are still just men, Lily said gently. With fears and flaws like everyone else, her mother sighed. You're falling for him. Maybe. Is that so terrible? It is if he breaks your heart. He might, but Mama, what if he doesn't? What if this is real? Then I hope he deserves you. Because you deserve the world, Lily, nothing less. Tears slipped down Lily's cheeks. I love you, Mama. I love you too. Just promise me you'll be careful. I promise. After they hung up, Lily sat in the darkness of her apartment, thinking about Ethan's face when he'd asked if he could kiss her. The vulnerability, the hope, the fear. He wasn't some powerful, untouchable man. He was just someone trying to figure out how to open his heart, just like her. And maybe, together, they could learn how. The next morning felt different. Lily woke with butterflies in her stomach. She changed outfits 3 times before settling on a soft green dress. When she arrived at the office, Ethan was already there. But when she called out her usual greeting, he barely looked up. Morning, he said shortly. Lily's stomach dropped. Everything okay? Fine, just busy. The coldness in his tone was like a slap. She went to her desk, trying to ignore the hurt blooming in her chest. Throughout the morning, Ethan stayed in his office. When he needed something, he sent emails instead of coming out to talk to her. By lunch, Lily felt sick. Had she done something wrong? Had the kiss been a mistake? Around 2 o'clock, she finally worked up the courage to knock on his door. "Come in." She stepped inside. He was focused on his computer, not looking at her. "Ethan, did I do something wrong?" "No. Why would you think that?" "Because you're acting different. Cold." He finally looked at her. His expression was carefully blank. "I'm just maintaining professional boundaries." The words hurt more than if he'd yelled. "Professional boundaries," she repeated. "Yes, what happened last night? It was a mistake. We both got caught up in the moment. It's better if we forget it happened." Lily felt tears burn behind her eyes. "A mistake? Lily, you said you didn't want to lose me. You said—" "I know what I said." His voice was hard now. "But I thought about it, really thought about it, and it's not appropriate. You work for me. It's a conflict of interest." "So that's it? You just decide it didn't matter?" "It's for the best." She stared at him, seeing the lie in his eyes. He was scared, running. But that didn't make the rejection hurt less. "Fine," she said quietly, "if that's what you want." "Lily, is there anything else you need, Mr. Cole?" The use of his formal name made him flinch. "No." She left, closing the door firmly behind her. At her desk, she pressed her hands to her face, fighting back tears. She'd been an idiot. She'd let herself hope, let herself believe. And now, she was paying for it. The rest of the week was torture. Ethan remained distant, professional, cold. Lily did her job perfectly, but inside, she was breaking. She'd seen something real in him. She knew she had. But he'd chosen fear over possibility. And that hurt more than anything. By Friday afternoon, she was exhausted, emotionally drained. She was packing up to leave when she overheard voices from Ethan's office. The door was slightly open. Marcus's voice carried clearly. "You look miserable, man." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. What happened?" Silence. "Does this have to do with Lily?" Marcus pressed. "It's complicated. It's always complicated with you. You make it complicated because you're scared. You don't understand. Then explain it to me." More silence. Then Ethan's voice, low and pained. "She's too good for this, for me. She deserves someone who knows what he's doing, someone who won't mess it up." "So you're just going to push her away?" "It's better than hurting her." "Newsflash, cousin. You're already hurting her." "I can see it on her face." Lily's breath caught. She shouldn't be listening, but she couldn't move. "She's just an assistant," Ethan said, but his voice cracked on the word. The sentence shattered something inside Lily. Just an assistant. That's all she was to him. She grabbed her bag and left before she could hear any more. Outside, the cool evening air hit her face. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She'd been so stupid, so naive. He didn't care about her, not really. She was just convenient, someone to practice feelings on. By the time she got home, the hurt had transformed into something else. Resolve. She couldn't keep doing this, couldn't keep working for someone who saw her as disposable. She opened her laptop and started typing. "Dear Mr. Cole, I am writing to submit my resignation, effective 2 weeks from today." Lily stared at the resignation letter on her screen. Her cursor blinked at the end of the last sentence. She should send it. She knew she should, but her finger hovered over the mouse and unable to click. What if she was overreacting? What if she'd misheard? What if— No, she'd heard him clearly. Just an assistant. The words echoed in her mind, sharp and painful. She saved the email as a draft and closed her laptop. Tomorrow. She'd decide tomorrow. Saturday morning came gray and cold. Lily stayed in bed longer than usual, staring at the ceiling. Her phone rang. She almost didn't answer when she saw it was her mother. "Hi, Mama. You sound terrible. What happened?" Lily told her everything. The cold distance, the overheard conversation, the words that had broken her heart. "Oh, baby," her mother said softly. "I'm so sorry. I was stupid. I let myself believe. You weren't stupid. You were brave. There's a difference. It doesn't feel brave. It feels humiliating." Her mother was quiet for a moment. "What are you going to do?" "I wrote a resignation letter." "Did you send it?" "Not yet." "Good. Don't do anything when you're this upset. Wait until Monday. See how you feel then." "Mama, I can't keep working for him, not after this." "I understand, but give yourself the weekend. Let the hurt settle. Then make your decision with a clear head." Lily knew her mother was right. "Okay. And Lily? Whatever you decide, I'm proud of you. You opened your heart. That takes courage, even when it doesn't work out." After they hung up, Lily spent the rest of the weekend trying to distract herself. She cleaned her apartment, went for long walks, watched old movies, but nothing helped. By Sunday night, she knew what she had to do. She couldn't stay. Not when every time she looked at Ethan, she'd remember how it felt to believe they had something real. She opened her laptop and pulled up the draft. Her finger hovered over the send button. This time, she didn't hesitate. Monday morning, Lily arrived at the office with a strange sense of calm. She'd made her decision. Now she just had to see it through. Ethan was at his desk when she walked in. He looked up, and for just a second, something hopeful crossed his face. "Good morning." "Good morning, Mr. Cole." She kept her voice professional. "Could I speak with you for a moment?" The hope in his eyes dimmed. "Of course. Come in." She entered his office and closed the door behind her. Her hands were shaking, but she kept them clasped in front of her. "I wanted to give you this in person." She handed him a printed copy of her resignation letter. His face went pale as he read it. "Lily, what?" "It's a standard 2 weeks' notice. I'll help train my replacement if needed." "Why are you doing this?" His voice was rough, almost desperate. "I think it's best for both of us." "Best? How is this best?" She met his eyes. "You said it yourself. I'm just an assistant, and I need to work somewhere I'm valued as more than that." He flinched like she'd struck him. "You heard that?" "Yes." "Lily, that's not what I meant. It doesn't matter what you meant. It's what you said." She took a breath, fighting to keep her voice steady. "I care about you, Ethan, more than I should, and I can't keep working here feeling like this when you've made it clear nothing can happen between us." "I never said nothing could happen. You said kissing me was a mistake." "Because I was scared." The words burst out of him. He stood, running his hands through his hair. "I was terrified. I still am." "Of what?" "Of ruining this, of hurting you, of proving that I'm exactly as broken as I think I am." Lily's chest ached. "Ethan, you don't understand. I've never let anyone close, ever. And then you walked into my life and suddenly I wanted things I've spent years avoiding. That's terrifying for someone like me." "Someone like you?" "Someone who doesn't know how to do this, how to be in a relationship, how to be vulnerable without falling apart." He looked at her with raw honesty. "I've never even had sex, Lily. I'm 30 years old and I've never been intimate with anyone. Not physically, not emotionally. You're the first person I've ever kissed, the first person I've ever wanted to kiss." The confession hung in the air between them. Lily's anger softened, replaced by something more complicated. "Why didn't you tell me that, instead of pushing me away?" "Because I thought if I pushed you away, you'd be safe. From me. From my inability to give you what you deserve." "Don't I get to decide what I deserve?" He looked at her helplessly. "What if I fail you?" "What if you don't?" "That's what you said before, right before I kissed you. And then I spent the entire night convinced I'd made the worst mistake of my life." "Because you kissed me? Or because you let yourself feel something?" The question seemed to stop him cold. "Both," he finally admitted. Lily stepped closer. "Ethan, I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be honest. With me. With yourself. I don't know if I can do this." "Then we shouldn't try." The words hurt to say, but she meant them. "I won't be with someone who's half in, who keeps one foot out the door because he's too scared to commit." "That's not fair." "Maybe not, but it's true." She moved toward the door. "I'll work the 2 weeks. We'll keep things professional, and then I'll leave." "Lily, wait." "I'm sorry, Ethan, I really am, but I can't keep breaking my own heart waiting for you to decide I'm worth the risk." She left before he could respond. At her desk, she sat down and forced herself to focus on work. But inside, she was crumbling, because she'd meant every word, and it hurt like hell. Ethan stood frozen in his office, her resignation letter crumpled in his hand. She was leaving. In 2 weeks, Lily would walk out of his life forever. And it was his own fault. He'd been so afraid of losing her that he'd pushed her away. And now he was losing her anyway. Around noon, Marcus showed up unannounced. Heard you had a rough morning, his cousin said. How did you? Lily looked like she'd been crying when she passed me in the hall. And you look like you got hit by a truck. Doesn't take a genius. Marcus sat down across from him. What happened? She resigned. Why? Ethan told him everything. The kiss, the fear. The things he'd said when he thought Lily couldn't hear. When he finished, Marcus shook his head. Man, you really screwed this up. I know. So what are you going to do about it? What can I do? She's made her decision. Because you made yours first, Marcus pointed out. You chose fear over her. Now she's choosing self-respect over you. The words stung because they were true. I don't know how to fix this. Start by asking yourself what you really want. I want her, but I don't know if I can give her what she needs. What does she need? Ethan thought about Lily's face when she'd said, I won't be with someone who's half in. She needs someone who's all in, someone brave enough to choose her completely. Can you be that person? I don't know. Marcus leaned forward. Then figure it out. Because right now, you're about to lose the best thing that's ever happened to you. And trust me, cousin, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. After Marcus left, Ethan sat alone with those words. The best thing that's ever happened to you. Was that true? He thought about the past few weeks, how Lily had made the office feel less like a prison, how her smile could shift his entire mood, how talking to her felt easier than breathing, how kissing her had felt like coming home. Yes, she was the best thing, and he was about to lose her because he was too afraid to fight. But what if Marcus was right? What if choosing her was the bravest thing he could do? He looked at the resignation letter again. 2 weeks. He had 2 weeks to figure out if he could be the man Lily deserved, or if he was going to let fear win. The next few days were excruciating. Lily remained professional but distant. No more lingering conversations, no more shared smiles. She was pulling away, protecting herself. And Ethan couldn't blame her, but it was killing him. On Thursday afternoon, he finally worked up the courage to try again. Lily? She looked up from her computer. Yes, Mr. Cole? The formal address hurt every time. Do you have dinner plans tonight? Her expression hardened. Why? I'd like to talk. Really talk. Not as boss and employee. Just as us. I don't think that's a good idea. Please, one conversation. After that, if you still want to leave, I won't fight it. She studied him for a long moment. He could see her weighing it, deciding if he was worth the risk. Fine, she finally said. One conversation. Relief flooded through him. Thank you. They went to a small Italian restaurant Ethan had never been to before. Quiet, intimate, the kind of place where you could actually talk. Lily looked beautiful in a simple blue sweater, but there was a guardedness in her eyes that hadn't been there before. He'd put that there. They ordered, made small talk, but the tension between them was thick. Finally, Ethan couldn't take it anymore. I'm sorry, he said, for everything, for pushing you away, for saying you were just an assistant, for being too scared to choose you. Lily set down her fork. Why did you ask me here, Ethan? Because I need you to understand something. When I said kissing you was a mistake, I didn't mean the kiss itself. I meant the timing, the situation, the fact that I had no idea what I was doing. That doesn't make it better. I know, but I need you to know. That kiss was the most important moment of my life, not because it was my first, but because it was with you. Her expression softened slightly. I've spent my entire adult life convinced I was too broken for this, he continued, for relationships, for intimacy, for love. And then you walked into my office and everything I'd believed about myself started to crack. Ethan, let me finish, please. He reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. You scare me, Lily, not because of who you are, but because of how you make me feel. Like maybe I'm not broken. Like maybe I could actually have this. Have what? Everything. You, us, a real relationship. Tears shimmered in her eyes, and 2 weeks ago, that terrified you enough to push me away. Yes. What's different now? He took a breath. This was it. The moment of truth. The difference is that losing you terrifies me more. Lily's breath caught. These past few days have been hell, Ethan continued, watching you pull away, knowing I caused it. And I realized something. I'd rather risk failing with you than succeed at keeping you at arm's length. You really mean that? I do. And I know I don't have any right to ask this, not after how I've acted. But Lily, he finally reached out, covering her hand with his. Don't leave. Give me a chance to prove I can do this, that I can be all in. She stared at their joined hands. I'm scared too, you know. Of what? Of believing you again. Of letting you in and having you change your mind. I won't change my mind. How can you be sure? Because I know what it feels like now, to almost lose you. And I never want to feel that again. A tear slipped down her cheek. This is crazy. You're my boss. I work for you. Then I'll hire a new assistant. We'll figure out the professional stuff. But Lily, please, don't walk away from this, from us. She pulled her hand back slowly. His heart sank. But then she spoke, her voice soft but steady. If we do this, if I stay, I need honesty. Complete honesty. No more pulling away when you get scared. No more shutting me out. I promise. And I need time to trust you again, to believe this is real. I'll give you all the time you need. She studied his face. You really want this? Me? Even though it's complicated and scary and you've never done anything like this before? Especially because of all that. He managed a small smile. You make me want to be brave, Lily. That's worth everything. More tears fell, but this time she was smiling through them. Okay, she whispered. Okay? Okay. We can try. The relief that washed over him was overwhelming. Thank you. I promise I won't let you down. You might. We both might. That's what relationships are. Then we'll figure it out together. Together, she repeated. Then, can I ask you something? Anything. When you said you've never been with anyone, are you okay with that? With how slow I might need to go? His heart swelled. Even now she was thinking about his comfort, his fears. Lily, I waited 30 years. I can wait as long as you need. She smiled, really smiled, for the first time in days. You're kind of amazing, you know that? I'm really not. Yeah, you are. They finished dinner with a lighter mood, talked about small things, laughed tentatively, rebuilt what had been broken. When Ethan walked her to her car, he didn't try to kiss her. That could wait. Instead, he just held her hand, and that was enough. I'll see you tomorrow? He asked. Yeah, tomorrow. And Lily? You're keeping your job, but I'm going to start looking for another assistant, someone to handle the day-to-day stuff while we figure out what this is. Her eyes widened. You'd really do that? I told you I'm all in. She squeezed his hand. Then so am I. As she drove away, Ethan stood in the parking lot, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real, terrifying, beautiful hope. And for the first time in his life, he wasn't running from it. He was running toward it, toward her, toward everything he'd been too scared to want, and it felt like the beginning of something extraordinary. 1 week later, everything felt different. Not perfect, not easy, but different in a way that mattered. Ethan had hired a new assistant, a competent woman in her 50s named Margaret, who ran the office like a well-oiled machine. It freed up Lily to transition into a project management role, working on special initiatives for the company. But more than that, it removed the power imbalance that had made everything so complicated. Now, when Ethan looked at her across a conference table, she was his colleague, his equal, and maybe slowly, something more. They took things carefully, no grand gestures, no rushing, just small moments of connection. Coffee together in the morning, lunch once or twice a week, staying late to talk about things that had nothing to do with work. Ethan was learning how to be open, how to share what he was feeling instead of hiding behind walls. And Lily was learning to trust again, to believe that someone could care about her without pulling away when things got real. It wasn't always smooth. One afternoon, Ethan got stressed about a deal that was falling apart and retreated into his old patterns, shutting down, becoming distant. Lily called him on it immediately. Don't do that, she said firmly. Don't shut me out. He'd looked at her, startled. Then he'd taken a breath and told her what was really going on, the fear of failure, the pressure he put on himself. She'd listened without judgment, offered support without trying to fix everything, and afterward, he'd felt lighter, like maybe he didn't have to carry everything alone. Another time, Lily had a difficult conversation with her mother, who was still worried about the relationship. She'd gotten quiet and withdrawn afterward. Ethan noticed immediately. "Talk to me," he'd said gently. And she had. About her mother's fears. About her own worries that she was repeating old patterns. He'd held her hand and reminded her that she wasn't, that she was choosing someone who was choosing her back completely. They were learning each other, learning how to be vulnerable, how to communicate, how to build something real. 3 weeks after their dinner conversation, Ethan asked Lily on a real date, not a work dinner, not a casual lunch, a date. "There's a jazz concert in the park Saturday night," he said. "Would you want to go with me?" Lily smiled. "Like a date? "Yeah, if you want. I want." Saturday evening was warm and clear. They met at the park entrance, and Lily's breath caught when she saw Ethan. He'd dressed casually, jeans and a button-down shirt. No suit, no armor, just him. "You look beautiful," he said when he saw her sundress. "So do you. I mean, handsome. You look handsome." They both laughed, the nervousness breaking. The concert was lovely. They sat on a blanket, shoulder to shoulder, listening to the music. Ethan held her hand the entire time, his thumb tracing small circles on her skin. During a slow song, he leaned close. "Can I tell you something?" "Always." "I'm really glad I didn't lose you." She turned to look at him. "Me too. I was so stupid, pushing you away like that." "You were scared. I understand that now." "I'm still scared sometimes, but not of being with you. Now I'm scared of messing this up." Lily squeezed his hand. "Then we'll mess it up together and figure it out. That's what people do." "Is that what we are? People who figure things out together?" "Yeah, I think so." He smiled, one of those rare, genuine smiles that transformed his whole face. "I like that." After the concert, they walked through the park. The night was soft and warm, filled with the sound of crickets and distant laughter. "Thank you for tonight," Lily said. "Thank you for giving me another chance." "Thank you for taking it." They stopped by a fountain, the water catching the moonlight. Ethan turned to face her. His expression was serious but not scared. "Lily, I need to tell you something." Her heart picked up. "Okay. These past few weeks with you have been the best of my life, and I know it's early. I know we're still figuring things out, but I need you to know," he took a breath, "I'm falling in love with you." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Ethan, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. So there's no doubt, no confusion. I'm all in, completely." She cupped his face in her hands. "I'm falling in love with you too." The relief in his eyes was profound. "Yeah? Yeah. Can I kiss you?" he asked, just like he had the first time. "Please." This kiss was different from their first, not tentative or scared, but confident, chosen, a promise. When they pulled apart, both of them were smiling. "That was better than last time," Ethan said. "Practice makes perfect." "Good, because I plan on practicing a lot." Lily laughed, pressing her forehead to his. "I love you. I love you too." They stood there by the fountain, holding each other, and it felt like the beginning of everything. The next few months unfolded like a dream. Not perfect. They still had disagreements, moments of uncertainty, growing pains, but real. Ethan continued to work on being open. He started seeing a therapist to work through his fears about intimacy and vulnerability. It wasn't easy, but Lily was proud of him for trying. Lily continued to build confidence in her new role at the company. She was good at what she did, and it showed. People respected her, not because of her relationship with Ethan, but because she earned it. They navigated the workplace carefully, kept their relationship professional during work hours, but everyone knew, and surprisingly, no one seemed to mind. "He's different with you around," Marcus told Lily one day. "Lighter, more human. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Lily's mother eventually came around too. She met Ethan over dinner one evening and saw what Lily had seen from the beginning, a good man trying his best. He loves you, her mother said later. I can see it. Just be careful with each other's hearts, okay? We will, Mama, I promise. 6 months into their relationship, Ethan and Lily took a weekend trip to a cabin in the mountains, just the two of them, away from work and stress in the world. On their first night there, they sat on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. I never thought I'd have this, Ethan said quietly. Have what? This. Us? Someone to share moments with? He turned to look at her. You changed my life, Lily. You know that? You changed mine too. Yeah? Yeah. You taught me that I'm worth fighting for, worth choosing. That's not a small thing. He pulled her close. You are worth everything. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, wrapped in each other. Finally, Lily spoke. Can I ask you something? Always. Are you happy? He thought about it, really thought about it. A year ago, he would have said happiness wasn't something he thought about. Success, control, those were his goals. But now? Yes, he said simply. I'm happy. Are you? She smiled. Yeah, I really am. Good, that's all I want, for you to be happy. I want the same for you. Later that night, they lay in bed tangled together. Ethan traced patterns on Lily's arm, marveling at how natural this felt, how right. Lily? Thank you. For what? For not giving up on me, for being patient, for teaching me how to do this. She turned to face him. You taught yourself, Ethan. I just showed up. You did more than show up. You saved me. No, you saved yourself. I just loved you through it. He kissed her softly. I love you so much. I love you too. They fell asleep like that, wrapped in each other and in the knowledge that they'd chosen something beautiful, something real, something worth every risk, every fear, every moment of uncertainty. A year after they first met, Ethan and Lily stood in his office late. One evening, it was empty except for them, just like that night when everything had changed. Remember the first time we were here like this? Lily asked. How could I forget? I kissed you, terribly. She laughed. It wasn't terrible, it was sweet. It was terrifying. That too. He pulled her close. Everything's different now. Is it? Yeah, now I know what I'm doing. Mostly. Mostly? Well, some things still scare me. Like how much I love you. That's pretty terrifying. She smiled. Good. I'd be worried if you weren't a little scared. It means it matters. It matters more than anything. He reached into his pocket and Lily's breath caught. Ethan, wait, let me say this. He took a breath. A year ago, I was convinced I was too broken for this, for love, for connection, for all of it. And then you walked into my life and proved me wrong. Tears were already streaming down her face. You taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness, that love isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing someone every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He got down on one knee. Lily Parker, you are the bravest, kindest, most patient person I've ever met. You make me want to be better, braver, more open, and I don't want to spend another day of my life without you. He opened the small box, revealing a simple, elegant ring. Will you marry me? Lily was crying too hard to speak at first. She nodded frantically, then finally managed to say, Yes. Yes, of course, yes. He stood, sliding the ring onto her finger, and kissed her deeply. When they pulled apart, both of them were laughing and crying at once. I love you, he said. I love you too, so much. Are you sure? Because I'm still kind of a mess. I still get scared sometimes. I still don't always know what I'm doing. Ethan, she cupped his face. I don't want perfect. I want you, all of you, the scared parts, the brave parts, everything. Even when I mess up? Especially then. That's when love matters most. He pressed his forehead to hers. How did I get this lucky? We both got lucky. We found each other. And you didn't give up on me. Never. Not once. They stood there, holding each other in the empty office where it all began, where a first kiss had changed everything, where two scared people had chosen to be brave. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars. Inside, two hearts beat in sync, choosing love over fear, choosing each other, completely, forever. 2 years later, Lily and Ethan stood in a small garden surrounded by family and friends. The ceremony was simple but beautiful, intimate, real. As Ethan said his vows, his voice steady but full of emotion, Lily thought about everything they'd been through, the fear, the uncertainty, the choice to keep trying even when it was hard. "I promise to choose you every day," Ethan said, "in the easy moments and the difficult ones. When I'm scared and when I'm brave. You are my home, Lily. My safe place. My heart." Lily's own vows were equally simple. "I promise to love all of you, to be honest, to be patient, to remind you that you're not broken, you're human, and that's more than enough." When they kissed as husband and wife, Marcus whooped loudly, and Lily's mother cried happy tears. At the reception, Ethan pulled Lily onto the dance floor. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Being married?" "Terrifying, amazing, perfect. All at once?" "Yeah, all at once," she laughed. "That sounds about right." "Thank you," he said softly. "For what?" "For seeing me, the real me, and loving me anyway." "Always, Ethan. Always." As they danced, surrounded by people who loved them, Lily thought about what they had built together, not a perfect relationship, but a real one, built on honesty and vulnerability and the daily choice to show up for each other, and that, she realized, was better than perfect. It was real. It was theirs. And it was enough. Years passed, they built a life together, had children, weathered storms, celebrated victories. Through it all, they held on to what they'd learned in those early days. That love wasn't about being fearless, it was about being afraid and choosing each other anyway. That vulnerability wasn't weakness, it was the foundation of everything real, that you didn't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. You just had to be honest. On their 10th anniversary, they sat on their back porch, watching their children play in the yard. "Do you ever think about that first day?" Lily asked. "When I walked into your office?" "All the time," Ethan said. "I was so determined to keep everything controlled, keep everyone at a distance. And then? And then you smiled at me, and everything I thought I knew started to crumble. In a good way? In the best way." He pulled her close. "You know what I'm most grateful for?" "What?" "That I was brave enough to kiss you that night, scared out of my mind, but brave enough. Me too. And that you were brave enough to not give up on me when I got scared. You were worth it. So were you." They sat in comfortable silence, watching their children laugh and play, building their own stories, learning their own lessons about courage and love. "We did good," Lily said softly. "Yeah," Ethan agreed. "We really did. Because they'd taken the risk, chosen vulnerability over safety, love over fear. And in doing so, they'd found everything they'd been looking for. Not perfection, but something better. Each other, completely, forever. And that was the only happy ending that mattered. The Ennund.